What's happening, Chief? You know, running away from the past, trying to bury it, only works for so long. It's weird that I've always said that the idea of closure is an illusion. Finding closure with people, with yourself. Most of the time it is an illusion because life isn't perfect and there are no real perfect endings. That's the only guarantee, right? But at the same time, there's some things that shouldn't be left to ruminate. I'm someone that used to, well, I still am, a runner, if that makes sense. I'm always moving on, always focusing on the change, the next thing. I find it hard to make connections. I have things, connections, I stay still for moments, but then it's always getting up and moving on to the next thing. And I never really take moments to just think about everything that's happened. And when I do, it can be sad, you know? The first 18 years of my life, I was in a city that I really didn't like. I don't like to stay in the same place, and I was in a place where I didn't like the people. I felt like I didn't fit in, and I was, in a weird way, not trying to say a woe story, but I was kind of traumatized, and I hated it. And I never wanted to go back there. And every time I have moments where I feel like I'm not connecting in a group, maybe I'm just having a bad day, or maybe I'm not connecting, I get that feeling again, being an outcast, outsider syndrome, which I've had for years. And I just want to leave and move on. But recently I went back to a town where I studied in university. A place that I don't have bad memories with, but I remember my last few months there, I would already moved on. I was just wanting to get out, and I was kind of driven insane because I didn't really vibe with the people anymore. I didn't feel like it was my place, and that was a kind of negative feeling to leave in. And it made me want to run far and far, and I never intended to come back, but it just so happened I was in the area visiting people, and I decided to go there to visit a certain person, and it felt weird being back, but I kind of made peace with how I left it. And I came to this realization, which of course it sounds obvious, but no matter what happens in your past, whether it's trauma, whether it's really terrible things, whether it's people you don't vibe with, whatever it is, you can't just bury it. Because you will change, you will become different people throughout your life. But at least you have to accept all the people you were, where you came from. Because you may hate it, you may not vibe with it, you may even find it hilarious that you even used to be part of that community. But that was you once. That was your normal. Good or bad. And whatever happened, that has made you who you are today. And you can't just run from the past and act like it didn't happen. That'll only get you so far, because the distance you create from it physically may be a lot, but mentally, it'll always come back. You'll always have to revisit it in moments of stillness, in silence, in boredom. You need acceptance. You don't have to be okay with it. Hopefully you are. But you need acceptance. Accepting at least that where you were is why you are here right now. Do you understand? Because when you get to that moment of accepting and forgiving and letting go of all the things that you've been holding on to for months, years, it's almost like you're free because you can continue moving forwards and running and having new adventures and exploring new versions of yourself. But you do it without the weights of the past hanging on, because you think you're running away from them, but they strap themselves to you. Moving on can work just by running and forgetting. But do you really want that to become a part of you? Sometimes it's hard and almost impossible to accept what's happened to us, where we've been, and sometimes we just need to drop it and run. But most of the time, if not all of the time, you'll get further with acceptance. Maybe in the moment you need to run, but when you have a moment of stillness, whatever you need to do, just turn back, face it, and if you can, be grateful for whatever it is, because who you are today is because of what you did then. Be kind to your past self. They didn't know any better. And just know that you have so much in store for your future. So much in store. And all the experience you have developed, obtained, all the different versions of yourself that have been running this race, like a baton race, passing the baton to each other. That is why you get to take the next step. So at least try to appreciate it. Because you are better now, but you will be even better in the future. There'll be new challenges, new experiences, new happiness, new sadness, new grief. Hopefully not the grief of having your tyres make that noise. That was just a car going by on the street. I hope you're okay, bro. I hope you've been having a good end of the year. This is more of a out there video, more of a to sit down and chat, but it's nice to do this sometimes. I'm in a really interesting place at the moment, where I've done some healing. And I hope you've been doing that too before we go into the new year. Keep hustling, keep your head up. And remember, 2023, 2024, 30, 25, always say less, do more. See you later, Chief.